Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope everybody is well, and that those of you who are on April break are having a wonderful family vacation. As I mentioned in a live last week, and as I have found in my sessions this week in my office, and also as I'm finding in the messages, hi Olga, as I'm finding in the messages, hi Kelly, thanks for being here, that are coming into my inbox. That is not the case for everybody. There are, unfortunately, lots of folks, hi Christian Rose, lots of folks having lots of conflict, whether it's parents fighting with kids, kids fighting with parents, or kids fighting with each other. Vacation week, which was intended to be a restorative, relaxing time, is less than that, and is really stressful instead, which is really unfortunate. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how to transform that. It's really not the way it has to be. People sort of take for granted, oh, kids will fight, parents will fight, it's just how it goes. Hi, babe. Just how it goes in families. And that's really not the case. That's a myth, and I am here to bust that myth and to tell you that you don't have to accept that status quo. You can really make some significant changes and start really enjoying each other. So, one of the really big pieces to that, as you've noticed from all of the theme of the posts of the last 10 days or so, is mindset. It's really what you believe. It's the paradigm in which you're operating that sets the stage for what kind of family interactions you're going to have, if you're going to have a lot of conflict or if you're going to get along well together. So I wanted to share with you what I think of as 5 of the most important and powerful paradigm shifts that you can make to start setting the stage for interacting differently with your kids, and frankly, really with anybody, but it's especially powerful with your kids. So I'm going to share those with you now. The first is, and this is really, really important, it's the following. All people are doing their best with what they have been given. Nobody really enjoys conflict and fighting and tears and crying. It does not feel good, not just to parents, but it also doesn't feel good to kids. So that's a really important one, because if you see your kids behaving badly, and you think, well, they don't care, they're just not trying, that's going to raise your own level of frustration and anger with them, and you're going to respond to them from a very different place than if you see them. Sorry for the beeping. That's our oven warming up. We're getting ready for dinner. That's going to come from a very different place than if you say, you know what, they're really trying hard. There's something where they're really struggling here. There's something not working. Let me see if I can help them. So really understanding everybody is doing the very best they can in that moment with the skills that they have available to them. The second paradigm shift is also a really critical one. Shaming, blaming, and criticizing never help. They are never the answer. They always make things worse. And unfortunately, what most of us do in this culture, when we are mad, when we are frustrated, we go straight to blaming and being angry. There's a story that I shared with a client recently that I'll share with you now, where one of my kiddos opened a cabinet door to try to get a glass, and it was a little bit too tall. So he went to heave himself up on the kitchen counter so that he could get closer to the glass, reach the glass. And as he heaved himself up, he slammed himself right into that cabinet door. And poor kid, tears and tears. And first thing out of his mouth is, stupid cabinet door. And I laugh because I think that that's probably the response that many of us would have. And obviously the cabinet door did nothing. It's an inanimate object. And yet it's that blame, something has to be at fault and it can't be me. And that's a huge go-to. And it undermines everything that we're trying to do here. Nobody transforms from a defensive place. We only change in the context of safe and supportive relationships where we feel understood, and when we feel blamed and criticized and shamed, most of all, that completely has the opposite effect. So that's a really, really important one. Next is that, right? So I said the only way you can transform is in the context of a strong and safe relationship. So how do you build one of those? Strong relationships are built around the ability to be vulnerable and open with one another. That's the only way to really strengthen a relationship. You can have relationships where you're hiding parts of yourself, you're not sharing parts of yourself, but you're not going to change in the context of that relationship, and that's not really a very strong relationship. Those relationships can break fairly easily. So it's really critical that we create a context that feels safe and supportive, where people can be open and vulnerable and real with one another. And that obviously requires trust. So that brings me to paradigm shift number 4. Hi, Tara. Welcome. I'm so glad you could join us. So paradigm shift number 4 seems really obvious, but it's worth stating because people forget. Safety and trust are only experienced through living them, right? So I can tell you, oh, you can trust me, but the only way you really know if you can trust me is by living that, is by experiencing that with me. And it's not just trust me as I interact with you, but it's trust me because of the way that I choose to move through the world. So let me give you an example. If I'm talking with 2 friends, right? Sally and Susie, and Susie decides to leave, and then Sally and I start gossiping, talking badly about our friend behind her back, we are not just betraying her trust, but we're betraying each other's trust. We're showing each other that you're maybe not that trustworthy. You're not that kind and solid. If I leave, you might be talking badly about me behind my back. So again, we need strong, safe relationships to make transformations. And strong, safe relationships are built on trust, and trust has to be experienced. You can't tell a person, trust me. That's not enough. And then the last paradigm shift also seems a little bit obvious, but incredibly important and worth stating, is that you can only teach through modeling. You cannot teach through telling. So I can't expect my children to take a deep breath, to walk away, to trust me, to be open with their feelings, to be expressive, if I don't show them what that looks like. If I harbor my thoughts and my feelings, now that doesn't mean spill your guts to your kids about everything. You have to be age appropriate and thoughtful about what they can handle, but you do have to communicate openly and honestly with them. And by doing that, you're modeling for them what it is that you're asking for them. So that's an incredibly, incredibly important element. So I'll go back over what those 5 paradigm shifts were to make them really, really clear. So the first is all people are doing their best with what they have available in the moment. Second is shaming, blaming, and criticizing never work. People only transform in the context of safe and supportive relationships. The third is strong and safe relationships are built on the ability to be vulnerable and open with one another, which only happens in the context of trust. Paradigm shift 4 is trust can only be built through experience, not through telling. And paradigm shift 5 is you teach through modeling, not through telling. So I would like everybody to, over the course of the next week or so, pay attention to the ways in which your own behaviors align with those values, with those paradigm shifts, or differ from them. Please be really honest with yourself. This isn't also, right? This isn't about judging, criticizing, or blaming you. We're going to be equally kind to you as we're talking about being with your kids. But the more open and honest you can be with yourself, the more possibility there is for change, for catching some of the bad habits and really transforming those. So please pay attention to the ways in which you do or don't align with those paradigm shifts over the next week, whether interacting with your kids, or also pay attention to how those come up in other places in your life, because that'll be informative. And again, as always, would love it if you would share in the group or privately. And looking forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you during the next live. And please keep commenting and asking questions and participating in the group. It's really welcomed and enjoyed. All right, take care, everybody. Thanks so much. Happy April break for those of you on vacation. I hope it will be a restorative and wonderful rest of your break. Bye.